Those very first connections in the brain are deeply embedded. Early childhood experiences are the blueprint for the rest of our lives. Suzuki's wish was for early childhood development classes from age 0. In the last few years, the SAA sanctioned the program, which was developed over the last 30 years by Dorothy Jones. We now have SAA registration for 5 levels of Suzuki Early Childhood Education training and teacher-trainer eligibility.
In 1985, I went to Japan to study with Suzuki and to continue my piano lessons with Haruko Kadoka. And one of the first things Dr. Suzuki asked me was, you have a background in education. I've been thinking about a school in Canada, a Suzuki school. Another day he saw me and he said, please don't just watch piano lessons, go to the preschool, watch the preschool children. And yet another day he would say, what are we going to do about the babies?
There are certain characteristics that are unique to the Suzuki Early Childhood class. The team teaching approach, which is a key component for various reasons, one of which is the quick transitions from one activity to the next. This is one of the ways we keep the child's focus for the full hour.
Cuckoo, where are you? Here I am, here I am.
Although the activities are full of energy in our classroom, we always maintain a calm environment. The children are focused and engaged in the activity and not wandering. The Suzuki Early Childhood curriculum is very organized and structured. We use 2 curriculums which are alternated from one week to the next. The repetition of the curriculum, along with daily listening to the reference CD, becomes a comfort zone in which we layer appropriate skills for the child to explore and build upon.
We know as educators that experiences precede words. So for an infant, they have to have many experiences before they can say the word. Words never precede the experience. In fact, experiences must precede any learning that takes place. So if we don't provide lots of experiences for our babies and toddlers, then they're not going to learn lots of things that they are quite capable of learning. We know that experience provides the foundation for the natural development of your child's learning, and the listening skills, the observation skills, the acquisition of language, all of those things that are so important to all future learning are learned through the experiences that they have first with family and then in activities that they do as infants and toddlers.
We use lots of movement in the class, but there are times when the student or the children are expected to wait patiently for their turn at an instrument, to sit quietly and listen to a story. And through the strategies of the class, we are able to achieve this.
We quack, so they quacked all day where the stream runs blue.
The ball rolling is an activity that we use in the class, at the very beginning of the class, to help set the calm in the class so that the children are ready to learn. The children in the ball rolling learn to work cooperatively with each other. They roll the ball, and the ball sometimes comes back to them, sometimes it goes to somebody else. Many times I've seen with an older child sitting next to a younger child, the ball will roll through between them, and the older child will actually take the ball and give it to the younger child. Then go around and greet each other and say good morning.
Good morning, let's start our favorite way.
After they greet each other, then we start immediately in with the drum exercise. And they are focused and they concentrate on what each child is doing in the middle of the circle with the drum.
It's a cumulative process. Teachers are trained to teach to many different age levels and skill levels at the same time. We ask parents to journal at the end of each class so that they become good observers of their own children. We start at age 0 and teach to all levels consecutively. This is not just a class, but a 0 to 3-year-old process. We use specific strategies to keep the room calm so that a child will identify the environment with fun, but also acceptable behaviors. Sometimes this process takes a few weeks.
So one of the strategies in particular that we use in the class is if a child starts to fuss or get disruptive, they are taken out of the room, calmed, and then brought back in. And my daughter, who had been in the class from birth, once she was becoming mobile, she didn't want to sit on my sister's lap anymore. She wanted to get up and move. And so she was picked up and taken out of the room. And actually they would go and look out the window. And she wanted to be back in the class. She would keep looking back and wanting to go in and realizing that the class was a lot more fun than looking out the window. And she learned very quickly that if I sit and wait and be patient for my turn at an instrument, or if I sit and I listen to the story, I'm going to have a lot more fun. And being able to realize that their own actions will either keep them in the class or remove them from the class gives them a maturity that'll help them through the rest of their life. And this happens at a very, very young age. My daughter became mobile at 8, 9 months and very quickly learned that I must sit. So by a year old, she learned that I have to sit still if I want to listen to the story.
The Suzuki Early Childhood Education class is identical in philosophy and methodology to the instrumental approach to learning. Children very naturally transition into the instrumental studio from these classes. The class sets the child up for success in the instrumental studio because by the time the child is ready to start an instrument, he or she already intrinsically has a sense of rhythm, beat, pitch. He has finger dexterity, self-discipline, memory, focus, and concentration skills, all things that the instrumental teacher will not have to deal with. The focus can be on the instrument itself. At its core, the Suzuki method is about the learning partnership between teachers, parents, and the child, what we as early childhood educators and instrumental teachers refer to as the Suzuki triangle.
As a longtime Suzuki piano teacher, I quickly found out in my own teaching that parent education was a very important part of preparing the family to become a Suzuki family. The practicing that happens at home on a daily basis is, of course, overseen by a parent when the child is quite young. Parents develop many skills in how to work with their child. Dr. Suzuki said often, everyone has a sprout of talent. Developing that sprout into wonderful ability depends upon how it is cultivated. And what I have seen over and over again in our baby toddler classes is that the parent learns how to cultivate that talent by having fun with the child, with the music, and realizing that the more repetitions they have, the deeper the understanding and the stronger the ability development.
Directly involved in the activities, and you're constantly reminding us you need to participate, you need to motivate them, you need to celebrate everything they have, every achievement they take. So this is of great help for their learning process.
Being a teacher and a parent gives me a unique perspective on how environment nurtures growth in the SECE class. The environment in the class really nurtures how the children can learn. There's so much encouragement from all the parents, no matter whose child is taking a turn. All the parents are encouraging. It's a very can-do environment.
We as Suzuki early childhood educators strive to create a calm, quiet, respectful environment in our classes by partnering with the parents through modeling and a variety of strategies. No real learning, focus, and concentration can take place unless there is calm in the room. And we remind the parents that they are the environment and that environment nurtures growth. We ask the parents to model all of the activities for their child, no pushing or pulling. We very quickly start to observe the children imitating their parents. At first, in very small steps, but afterward, once the foundation has been laid, the children very naturally start to layer skill upon skill.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes! Very nicely done.
Suzuki parents are a vital part of the program, and they are essential to the activities that take place in the classroom. Children learn by observing their parents' actions and behaviors, while the parent gains valuable knowledge about their child's learning habits and how they react in a social environment.
This is a class not just for the kids, but it's also for the parents, and the parents have to do whatever the child is expected to do in class. So it's like when the parent does things, the child looks at the parent and mirrors it. So that's an important thing that I see in this class, which I haven't seen elsewhere.
The thing I see in the SECE class environment that I don't see in other classes is the structure that the teachers provide. The kids are really encouraged to sit quietly, pay attention, and at such a young age, that's so different than other classes. The environment in the class is very positive. The teachers are so encouraging. There's really nothing negative ever that happens in the class, and that really helps the kids be positive themselves and feel confident in what they're doing. It allows the children to naturally progress, to come to different abilities at their own pace, and it lets them learn in a way that in a less structured environment probably wouldn't happen, because it's like they have little milestones for themselves that they're able to set up, which is great.
With the class and with the program, you can see how they're, when you see a child, when you see every single part of their development, it's easy for you to tell where they have some strengths or where they have some weaknesses. So yeah, definitely. Being present makes a big difference.
Suzuki observed the learning habits of young children. He found that children have an enormous potential for learning at a very young age. He saw that poor teaching, poor environment, and inadequate adult expectations have been the principal causes of limiting that potential.
I have a 20-month-old child in the class, and he has been in the class since he was 3 months old. A lot of people asked me whether or not it was too early to start him, but I decided to do it and experiment with it, and found that it was really successful for me. Having Michael in the class from the age of 3 months was very helpful because he learned focus. He's very adept at being able to sit and concentrate. He loves to read. He will stop and listen to music wherever we are, and he has a very long attention span, which is kind of unusual for a 20-month-old. I feel that my child's ability to focus at an early age is very rare. I've been around a lot of parents who have commented on his ability to sit and read book after book. He can focus on whether it's a program on television for a long period of time. He's able to play independently with a toy or with a puzzle and really focus and concentrate. And I credit that to the building that we've done with the SECE program.
The parents, they've seen the child take tiny, tiny steps, first learning to keep a beat, being able to sing a falling third in tune, and eventually being able to recite all of the poems and rhymes or sing all of the songs with the teachers and the other people in the class. And the parent is amazed at the developing abilities of their own child and the other children in the classroom. So now when they walk into the Suzuki Instrumental Studio, they are prepared to assist their child and to work toward a wonderfully creative environment in the home so that they can see the same abilities develop in the instrumental lessons.
School, school, I like school. School, school.
In recent years, there have been many studies presenting increasingly compelling evidence that an environment rich in stimulation, and in particular one that is rich in music, actually creates connections in the brains of babies and very young children. These connections significantly improve their ability to function in a variety of learning areas later in life. I think about one example in particular. One of the children in our class, Michael, started with us when he was only 3 months old. We have a listening activity which occurs at the beginning of every class. We walk to the beat of the lollipop drum, and when we hear the drum stop, we stop. The drum starts, we walk. Although Michael was not walking and was being held during the activity, he could feel the beat and the starting and stopping of the drum. By the time he was 6 months old, still being held during the activity, when the drum started, he would kick his feet, and when the drum stopped, he would freeze along with the rest of his motoring friends. Amazing! The neural pathways were there.
That's it.
I have gained a lot of knowledge about my son's learning skills. I have learned music allows him to learn very easily. He's learned a lot of his numbers, for example, he learned his numbers through the songs, through the rhymes, nursery rhymes. That is definitely a way he can easily learn.
If your child is in a program like the one Laura and Lynn are running, every week for 3 years, starting as soon after birth as you're able to bring them, then we know that the experiences they have in that class are going to bring about absolutely amazing development. At 4 months, the baby can't yet really do anything, but we want mothers and dads to bring them to these classes from the time they're 2 weeks old, if they're healthy and they're able to come. So at first, the parent is the one learning how to make a beautiful sound on the instrument, or the teacher is holding the baby and making a beautiful sound. And all we're expecting of this baby is that they're up close and that they hear it. And what we know will happen is they will begin to appreciate what a beautiful sound is on this instrument. 5 months later, and she's going to have a turn. First thing she does is look for mom to see if mom's noticing what she's doing. And mom's job is to go up when the music goes up and to go down. And when she's holding Olivia, she's feeling that. But see how she keeps checking to see what mom's doing? So what I wanted to point out was that between that 4-month stage where they are only listening and watching, there is a tremendous development by the time they're 9 months old, where we see the excitement in their arms and legs. We see them checking their own parent to see if mom or dad is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they get very upset if they aren't. If mom instead were chatting with the lady next to her and saying, "Gosh, I really like that nail polish you got on your toes. What color is it?" If that happened, do you know what Olivia would do? She would cry. Because that's how she shows us that she's upset. She knows that mom's supposed to be doing this with her arms. And if she's doing it, then she can happily go back to looking at what the teacher wants her to do. So these children are so clever, and they show us all of this with their bodies long before they can speak.
The uniqueness of the Suzuki Early Childhood Education class is the emphasis on the natural development of the child from birth and the rich and stimulating partnerships that are developed between parents and teachers.
The teachers learn to smile a great deal. They encourage the parents to give hugs when a child has completed a task in the class. And there are many times comments like, "Excellent work," or "Very good, thank you for trying that, thank you for helping." And we know that those encouraging statements are critically important both to the child and to the parent.
Studies show that within the first 3 years of life, the brain is developing faster than at any other time in a human's life. The Suzuki Early Childhood Education program creates the opportunity to develop a firm foundation for all later learning. Music is a very powerful tool in creating these very important foundational neural pathways in the brain. Imagine not speaking to a child for the first few years of life. Not only would this put the child years behind in language, but would also thwart the brain's development and impact his learning for the rest of his life. In children, repetition creates thorough mastery. Thorough mastery creates self-esteem, which in turn gives the child the confidence to attempt the next challenge.
In the Suzuki world, thorough mastery is a very important concept. We use repetition as means for the child to become completely comfortable with what they're learning. Because of the way the curriculum is set up, there's so much repetition that the children get to see over and over again what happens when they do something. So if they play the glockenspiel, well, next week they're going to see it again and again and again and again. Because we layer the skills of each activity, once they have achieved and mastered and gotten thorough mastery of the level they've just done, they get to learn a new level. So maybe they play the drum with someone holding their hand. Once they've got that, then we try, well, let's let go of their hand and see if they can do it themselves. And 9 times out of 10, they can.
Dr. Suzuki said, knowledge does not create ability. Knowledge plus 10,000 repetitions creates ability. In the Suzuki Early Childhood class, we partner with parents by keeping a close eye on the skill level of their child. We break down each skill to create success at every level. In this way, the child feels a real sense of accomplishment. Our encouragement and praise are therefore real to the child, not empty words.
Repetition has helped my son tremendously, and it's also helped me. What I learned from the SCCE class is the importance of structure and of repeating the same thing continually, day after day after day. And I've taken these principles that I've learned in class and brought them into our life at home. His bedtime routine is exactly the same, from bathing to bedtime stories, and his bedtime is the same every night. I structure his day and model it after what I've learned in the SCCE program. As a result, I have no problems with bedtimes, no problems with meals. He's a very happy child, and I'm therefore a very happy parent.
I think the teachers in this class have been very skillful, and they've been a big source of encouragement. They've really helped point out the skills that I didn't know that my child had. And not every day is a good day for every child, so even when we come to class on a bad day, you know, the teachers encourage us and point out to us saying that, you know, your child can do this, and which we don't realize, and it really helps to go and build that skill back up.
Because of the repetition in the class, they know exactly what's going to come up next, so they become very confident in the class. I know my daughter, because she was so confident in the class, because of the structure, she loved to come to this class. Repetition builds confidence in all aspects of life.
Our classes are based on 2 curriculums, which we repeat bi-weekly. Because of the repetition of the classes and the daily playing of the CD, the children become very familiar and comfortable within the routine and structure. They know what's coming next, and so are able to focus and layer skill upon skill. Our teachers are trained in each activity to be able to address, at the same time, the skill level of an infant while layering new skills for an older child. So many things are occurring at once. At the same time, the older child is learning listening skills, technique, leadership skills, and becoming a role model for the younger child. Parents are encouraged to play the CD daily and practice the activities from the class at home. This creates a natural transition into the instrumental studio.
We work with mixed age groups, so that the younger children can watch the older child and be inspired. And the older child becomes very sensitive to the needs of the younger child, and so we see great sensitivity developing in these mixed age classes.
We believe every child can learn. As Suzuki Early Childhood Education teachers, it's our job to help the parents to recognize the development in their own children. One of the ways we accomplish this is by asking the parents to journal at the close of every class. Through this process, the parent recognizes how to celebrate each small step and is able to patiently and naturally encourage their child to the next, developmentally appropriate step.
The journals at the end of the class are helpful because you don't realize it, but when several months or a year have transpired and you go back to read your child's individual development, you can really see how fast the growth happens. And when you read it in the journal, you can see how far they come, and it's very validating to know that you're on the right track. I feel that the SECE class is preparing Michael for school because he is socialized, he's comfortable around other children, he's confident, he's able to focus, and he has developed a love of learning, which I credit with the fundamentals that this class has given him.
Parents are not only in attendance for the Suzuki Early Childhood class, but are active participants. It is within these classes that the parents learn skills to support and assist the progress of their child in the home environment.
We came to a school for pre-K and they tested him and evaluated him, and they said that he was great, he was doing great, and they asked me, what kind of, how did I teach him home, and I said, well, I have him in a program where it's a preschool program, a musical preschool program, and it has really, helped him develop his numbers, etc.
Each week I can tell where he is developmentally and how much he has changed. It's such a wonderful experience as a parent to be able to see my son grow, not just as a child and through developmental stages, but musically too. I mean, he has a love of music that I know is from this class, and it's delightful as a parent to see that. He started when he was 9 months, and at first I honestly didn't even know what to look for. But the teachers, the class has allowed me to see each week, even in language, how much he changes and develops. He obviously started without much language at all, and the teachers kept telling me, you're going to be surprised at his language development. And when my son started speaking, it just took off. It was amazing. The verbal skills he has, the sentences that he can put together, I know are from this class, and it's really, really been amazing.
Because of the SECE class, my daughter has really experienced a joy and a thirst for learning.
The thing that I liked about this class, it really prepared my daughter socially. She's learned to become very friendly, and she's learned to just come out of her shyness, and she's very good in sharing with other kids. She's very patient in taking turns, and she's learned quite a few different languages. She's learned to count, and just about everything a kid needs for preschool and for kindergarten. So I would highly recommend this class to any parent who is looking for a readiness class for preschool and kindergarten.
I've seen great growth in my child because of this unique environment. My son when he started, he was a little more on the shy side, I would say. His confidence has grown tremendously, and he's able to pick up skills quickly. He can be calm when he needs to be. He is musical, he loves music. He's really just honestly become a different person since he started the class.
My daughter has definitely benefited from this class. Her reading, her vocabulary, her early math skills and social skills, certainly musical skills such as keeping a beat, matching a pitch, her rhythm and her dynamics when she's playing the violin, her self-discipline, and above all, her listening skills, which are beneficial in all aspects of life.
Suzuki Early Childhood Education is looking at the development of the child with the belief that every child has unlimited potential and that our role as the adults in the child's life include developing that potential, providing experiences for the child where they can learn and we can see the many abilities that all children have develop into wonderful skills that will be with them for life.
Encouragement is the underlying theme throughout the hour-long class. Encouraging words build a child's sense of worth and help the child to build confidence. Encouragement is the perfect way to help a child progress without being forceful. We try to allow the child the perfect balance of support and independence in order to nurture growth.
My hope for the future of the Suzuki movement would be that every Suzuki program would have a feeder program, a baby toddler class taught by a team of well-qualified Suzuki teachers who truly understand the spirit of Suzuki teaching. And if that were the case, I know that the results would be what we have seen, where there are programs that have been evolving for 20 years. Perhaps the best way to state my hope would be to share this quote from Dr. Suzuki's Ability Development from Age 0. He said, "Develop ability from what a child can already do, and that ability will promote the happiness of doing things better and better." An unlimited amount of ability can develop when parent and child together are having fun. This is simple, but often overlooked.
The first few years of life are so vital. What a wonderful gift for a parent to give to their child, to create a joyous, calm environment, free from pressure, in which they can gain skills, a sense of purpose in life, an understanding of self-discipline, and an appreciation of beauty. A strong foundation upon which they can build for a lifetime.